The Galactic Union made its decision. Earth had been warned many times. The leaders of the galaxy believed that humans were too aggressive, too proud, and unwilling to follow the rules of peace. One final vote was cast, and Earth was officially exiled. Trade was stopped, communication lines were cut, and Earth's seat at the interstellar table was removed. Ships from Earth were no longer welcome in other systems. The people of Earth were shocked. Some were angry, some were afraid. But a few people saw something else. They saw a chance. Alex Carter was one of them. He was not a politician or a scientist, but a former pilot who had traveled far beyond Earth's system. He knew the stars, and he knew people. He gathered those who still believed in a future. Engineers, scientists, farmers, builders, and thinkers all came together. The plan was not to fight back. The plan was to survive, and maybe one day rise again. Resources were limited. The planet had suffered from years of depending on alien trade. Now, with the galaxy turning its back, Earth had to rely on its own strength. Old factories were restarted. Machines that had been silent for decades roared back to life. Families worked side by side to grow food, to clean water, and to make parts that would take them to the stars. In an old observatory in the mountains, a small group found star maps hidden in ancient files. Among them was a chart of an unclaimed system far from any known trade routes. It had a planet that could support life. It was not perfect, but it was possible. Alex shared the plan with his team. The choice was clear. If Earth could not be part of the galaxy, then it had to find its own path. Alina Brooks, a young scientist who had once worked on deep space projects, joined the mission. She designed the systems that would keep people alive during the long journey. She also believed in something more. She believed that Earth could become something better than it was. Within months, a fleet of newly built ships took off from Earth. People watched from rooftops and valleys as the bright engines lit up the night sky. Families said goodbye with tears and hope. The fleet carried over 1,000 people, each one carrying skills, dreams, and the will to build a new life. The journey was not easy. One ship lost power and had to be left behind. A small fire on another ship almost ended in disaster, but teamwork and courage saved lives. After many weeks, they reached the system. The planet was there, just as the old maps had shown. It was dry, the air thin, and the ground hard. But there was water under the surface. The sun was steady and the land was open. They named the planet New Terra. Tents were set up, solar panels were placed, seeds were planted. Every tool was used with care. People worked day and night, not because they were forced to, but because they believed in something greater than themselves. Alex stood on a high hill one evening and looked over the growing camp. Children were laughing. Workers were sharing food. The stars above were bright. He thought about Earth. It had been pushed away, but it had not fallen. It had taken its first step into something new. Back on Earth, those who had stayed behind watched the skies. They knew something had begun. The world that had been banished was no longer weak. It was building, learning, and reaching. And far away, on a planet no one had ever heard of, humanity had started to write a new chapter. A quiet empire was being born. Life on New Terra was not easy, but it was moving forward. The people who had come from Earth worked hard every day. They built small homes from metal and stone. They made simple machines to clean the water and store energy from the sun. The land was not rich, but it was theirs. It was a place where they could decide their own future. Alex Carter walked the camp every morning. He talked to workers, listened to problems, and helped where he could. He had become more than a leader. People trusted him. They knew he did not have all the answers, but they knew he would always try. Alina Brooks worked in a lab made from an old cargo ship. She studied the planet's weather, soil, and energy. Her team made slow progress. Still, they found ways to grow crops better and make power last longer. Alina was quiet, but her work spoke loud.
Yes!
Everyone knew that the science team was helping to make the colony stronger. One day, a small group of settlers found a strange signal coming from deep underground. It was weak, old, and coded. Alina studied it and said it was not natural. It was a message. A team was sent to dig near the source. They found metal doors covered in dust and stone. No one had expected this. The planet was supposed to be untouched. Inside the doors was a chamber full of old machines. They were not human, were alien, but they were broken and covered in time. Some believed they had found a piece of a lost empire. Alina worked with her team to power the machines. Slowly, one of the screens came to life. It showed maps and data and symbols they could not read, but one thing was clear. Long ago, someone else had called this planet home. This changed everything. Alex met with his team. Some were afraid. What if the old owners came back? What if they were dangerous? But others saw a new chance. If New Terra had once been important, maybe it could be again. Maybe the Earth people were not just survivors. Maybe they were builders of something greater. News of the find spread fast. It gave people hope and fear at the same time. Lena and her team worked harder than ever. They began to copy the machines and study how they worked. Even broken, the alien technology had things to teach. One machine helped them clean water faster. Another made soil richer. Weeks passed, new homes were built, roads were laid, a school was opened for children. The flag of New Terra, simple and blue, was raised in the center of the camp. It was more than a place now, it was a home. Alex gave a speech one night. He stood under the stars with lights shining around him, told the people that they were no longer just from Earth. They were from New Terra. He said the past had shaped them, but the future belonged to them. People cheered. Many cried. They felt part of something big. Far away, in quiet corners of the galaxy, the name of New Terra began to spread. A few small alien ships came to watch from a distance. One sent a message. It asked who they were. Alex sent a simple answer. We are human. We were banished. Now we build. The aliens did not reply right away, but the message had been sent. Earth's children were no longer silent. They had found a voice, and soon the galaxy would hear it. The message from New Terra traveled across space. Many did not notice, but a few did. In the halls of the Galactic Union, quiet meetings were held. Leaders looked at each other with concern. Earth had been removed, but now its people were rising again. Some members feared what this could mean. Others wanted to ignore it. But one thing was clear. New Terra was no longer just a colony. It was becoming something more. A Union scout ship was sent to observe. It stayed far from New Terra, hiding in the shadows of nearby moons. It took pictures, recorded energy readings, and listened to signals. When the scout returned, the data showed something unexpected. The humans were growing fast. They had machines far better than expected. Their buildings were strong. Their energy was clean. We're using alien technology. The Union leaders did not like this. They believed Earth had no right to rise so soon. Back on New Terra, Elena Brooks continued her work. Her team had made great progress with the alien machines. Some tools now ran on almost no fuel. A broken device had been turned into a shield system that could protect ships. Alex Carter knew they had to be careful. Sharing this knowledge too early could bring trouble. He met with his council and told them to stay alert. A few days later, one of their scout ships found something strange. A Union probe, hidden in a field of space rocks, was watching them. The humans brought it back and took it apart. Inside was a message. It was short and cold. It warned them to stop expanding. It said New Terra must remain small or face punishment. Alex read the message and stayed silent for a long time. Then he spoke to his people. He told them the truth. The Union was watching. The message was clear, but he also told them something else. They were no longer under the Union. They had built this world with their hands. They had helped each other grow. No outside power had the right to stop them now. The people agreed. They did not want war, but they would not give up their home. Soon after, a ship arrived in orbit. It was not Union. It was from a small alien world called Valari. The captain asked to meet the leaders of New Terra. Alex and Alina went to the landing site. The captain, tall and blue-skinned, stepped forward. He said his world had also suffered under the Union. He had seen the message sent by New Terra and wanted to offer peace. He asked for help. His world needed water filters and food machines. In return, he offered rare metals and star maps. Alex saw a chance. Not just to trade, but to build something better, he agreed. The two sides signed a simple pact. Help for help. No leaders, no rules from above. Just support between friends. Word spread fast. More small worlds reached out. Each one had a story. Each one had pain from the Union, and each one saw hope in New Terra. Soon, small ships began arriving. Some brought goods, some brought people. Engineers, teachers, and workers who wanted a new life. Alina stood on the same hill where Alex had once watched the stars. Now there were lights across the valley. New homes, new roads, and new life. She smiled. They were no longer alone. Far away, the Union met again. This time, the fear was louder. Earth had been pushed out. But now, Earth was not begging to return. It was becoming a center, a beacon, something they had not expected. And they knew the galaxy was watching. The new alliances of New Terra started to grow. Trade ships moved between worlds. People of different colors, shapes, and voices shared tools, food, and ideas. The Earth's settlers worked side by side with aliens from distant systems. Small cities began to rise, with lights that could be seen from space. Farms stretched over hills. Schools opened in new buildings. It was not perfect, but it was strong. But peace was not welcomed by all. The Galactic Union watched with anger. They had hoped New Terra would fail. Instead, it was rising faster than anyone thought. Some Union leaders called for action. They said Earth's people were breaking laws. They said New Terra was dangerous. In a secret meeting, the Union sent a fleet to block New Terra's main trade route. No message was sent. The ships simply appeared in the path, weapons ready. 3 trade ships were caught. One was forced to land on a Union-controlled moon. The others escaped. On New Terra, news of the blockade spread quickly. People were scared. Some leaders wanted to stay quiet and wait, but others said it was time to stand. Among them was Marcus Lane. He had once been a cargo pilot. Now, he led one of the defense teams. He believed New Terra had the right to speak back. Alex met with Marcus and Alina. They made a plan. It was not about war. It was about truth. Marcus would lead a small team to find proof of what the Union was doing. They could show it to the galaxy. Maybe other voices would rise. The mission was risky. Marcus and his team flew a fast ship into Union space. They followed the path of the captured trade ship. On the moon, they found the ship and its crew. They were alive, but held in a small camp. Marcus used stealth tools to get close. He recorded guards speaking about the blockade. He also found messages sent by Union leaders. With the proof in hand, Marcus sent the data back to New Terra. Then he and his team helped the crew escape. They flew back under fire, but made it home. The people cheered when they returned. Alex shared the proof with all their allies. He sent it to old contacts and even to some Union members. The reaction was strong. Some Union worlds were angry. They had not known about the blockade. A few leaders began to speak out. Protests broke out on several planets. People asked why Earth had been pushed away and why peace was being blocked. The Union sent a message to New Terra. They asked for a private meeting, did not admit fault, but they wanted to talk. Alex agreed, but he brought Alina and the captain from Valari with him. The meeting was quiet. No peace deal was made, but no threats were spoken either. It was a pause. When they returned, Alex spoke to the people, said New Terra would keep building, said they would protect their friends. He said they would not bow to fear. Ships from more worlds began to arrive. Some came with aid, others came with questions, and he wanted to join. The Earth Coalition was no longer a dream. It was real. That night, children looked up and saw stars. But they also saw ships moving in the sky. Not as enemies, but as signs of a growing world. On the edge of the Union space, a single word began to be whispered by traders, miners, and travelers. Empire. But this empire was not built on fear. It was built on choice. The name of New Terra was now known across many stars. The Earth Coalition had grown stronger. It was not just a group of people trying to survive. It was a rising force shaped by unity, trust, and work. The cities on New Terra shone at night, full of life and hope. New colonies were being built on nearby planets. Trade routes were busy. Peace was holding, even while the Union watched from afar. Alex Carter sat in a simple chair, looking out at the sky from a tall tower. He had seen so much change, from exile to leadership, from fear to strength. The Earth that had been banished had become something new. the Galactic Union sent another message. This time it was not a warning or a threat. It was an invitation. The Union asked NetNarrator to return. They offered a seat, a voice, and a place in the talks between worlds. Some leaders were pleased. They thought this was a victory. But Alex and Elena were not quick to agree. They called a meeting. All members of the Earth Coalition sent a voice. Some joined by screen, some in person. The talks were long. Some said they should go back and show the Union how Earth had changed. Others said it was better to stay free. Elena stood and spoke. She said they had built something rare. Not an empire of power, but an empire of trust. She said joining the Union would mean giving away their voice again. People listened in silence. Then Alex stood. He looked around the room and said one word. No. They sent a message back. It was simple. It thanked the Union for the offer. But it said NetNarrator would not return. It said they would walk their own path. The message ended with hope, not hate. It said they welcomed peace and talks, but not control. Soon after, more worlds asked to join the Earth Coalition. Some were small, some were once part of the Union, but all had the same wish, to be part of something new. On a wide plain, a new capital was built. It was not tall or rich, but it was strong and open. A place for leaders to meet, for students to learn, and for families to grow. Flags from many worlds flew beside the flag of NetNarrator. Marcus Lane became the head of security for the coalition. He helped train people from many worlds to keep peace without fear. Elena led the science team, helping others use what they had learned. Alex became the speaker for the people, but he refused to be called ruler. He said the people were the power. One day, a small alien child asked Alex why they had been banished. He smiled and told her that sometimes people fear what they do not understand. He said being pushed away gave them a chance to grow stronger. In the sky, new ships flew, not to fight, but to explore. They searched for lost voices and forgotten places. The Earth Coalition became a guide, not a ruler. On many planets, the story of Earth was told. Not of war or pain, but of how people came together after losing everything, how they built a home from nothing, and how they helped others do the same. The stars no longer seemed far. They felt like neighbors. Earth had been banished. But in that silence, it had found its voice. And now, that voice was a call to the galaxy, not of power, but of hope. A quiet empire, born not from force, but from choice, now stood among the stars.